with regard to the idea of, it's called something like Article 5-like guarantees, I'm very suspicious about that, because I understand that Article 5 works only as a part of NATO, as a defense alliance. It doesn't work outside this mechanism. That's why I remained a little bit skeptical about this idea.
President Zelensky of Ukraine is saying that today's discussions between the United States and Ukrainian peace negotiators were not easy, but were productive. The US says Donald Trump is focused on stopping Russia moving west, and there have been talks about Article 5-like guarantees. That is the principle of mutual defence as part of the NATO treaty, although a US official tells Reuters the guarantees won't be on the table forever. The official also says Russia will be open to Ukraine joining the EU. We can talk to Alexander Mereshko, who's chair of Ukraine's Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome back to the programme, Alexander.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's good to have you here. So you've seen the reports coming out of, well, certainly the Ukrainian side talking about progress having been made. What are you thinking about what you're hearing?
Well, yes, at first glance, it sounds encouraging that some progress has been made. But again, first of all, I would like to see the text and the concrete results to see, for example, how the crucial issues for Ukraine were solved with regard to territory and with regard to security guarantees, in which form they were formulated. And second thing which makes me cautious is that in the final analysis, it depends on Putin whether he will accept or not this kind of proposal by President Trump. And on the basis of all our previous experience, I can guess, I can make a prediction. I hope to be wrong, of course, but my prediction is that he again will reject it. Of course, he will say something, we agree, but, and then he will repeat his absolutely absurd maximalist demands.
Yeah, I mean, that has certainly been the pattern of things so far, has it not? We can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. When and if Putin stands firm and gives nothing of significance. Now, the plan that was on the table, endorsed by America, was that Ukraine withdraw from Donbass, the Donbass region, and Russia does not advance. Does that sound credible to you?
First of all, for us, it's a red line, because not only the president himself, our parliament and our people will never accept withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the territory of Donetsk region, Donetsk Oblast, because it's unacceptable for us. And the fact that Putin is demanding this to happen, it's very telling, because it means that he has suffered strategic defeat. He is not capable to take this region by military force, and that's why he's trying to get it by using negotiations, by using political and diplomatic means. But it will never be accepted by our people.
Right. Okay. So that looks like a non-starter. And what about the idea, well, that Ukraine would renounce the ambition of joining NATO? I guess that you could argue that's simply a recognition of the inevitable, because it needs unanimity for a new member to join, and there will not be unanimity.
Well, first of all, we continue to insist on Ukraine's membership in NATO for several reasons. First of all, it is already in our constitution, which envisages that it's our strategic goal to join NATO. So we cannot change our constitution. Second, we were promised that Ukraine will become NATO member because there were decisions taken at the NATO summits, even in Bucharest in the year 2008. It was said in the final document that NATO doors of NATO are open for Ukraine. Yes. And if we and the Lithuanian summit also is about that it's a reversible path for Ukraine to join NATO. We were promised, and we expect our partners to honor these promises.
And yet we do hear that President Zelensky has been contemplating renouncing the ambition of joining NATO.
It was not confirmed yet, and first of all, we would like, members of parliament would like to hear directly from our president whether or not he made such statements. Honestly, I doubt it, but we need confirmation.
Okay, and so more detail on that, despite the suggestions of progress of these talks. Now, what about the security guarantees? That is a big one too, where following a ceasefire, the Ukraine's friends in Europe certainly, and with America playing some sort of role, would guarantee the security of Ukraine. Your thoughts on that? Because I guess again, a lot depends on the detail.
When we're trying to answer this question, it is important to view it from the point of view of Putin. In other words, what can deter him? What can prevent him from attacking Ukraine again? And the answer is very clear so far. It's NATO membership for Ukraine. That's the only thing which is a reliable security guarantee. But if President Trump can offer something as good as this security guarantee, I understand that we are ready to discuss it. I don't know what he means, maybe closing the sky over territory of Ukraine, sending American troops to secure the ceasefire, for example, or maybe an agreement like agreement which was concluded between the United States and Japan or South Korea with regard to mutual defense and mutual security, maybe something like that. But with regard to the idea of, it's called something like Article 5-like guarantees, I'm very suspicious about that, because I understand that Article 5 works only as a part of NATO, as a defense alliance. It doesn't work outside this mechanism. That's why I remained a little bit skeptical about this idea. But again, I need to see first the text, the documents which describe these security guarantees.
Okay, well, I believe we're going to be hearing from President Trump later on at a news event. Maybe there'll be some clarity on that there. Meanwhile, I guess, Alexander, your country is relying on the EU, United Kingdom combined, to deliver a significant payment underpinned by those frozen Russian assets to keep yourself in the war.
Yes, of course, and I'm glad to hear from some representatives of Germany who say that such kind of material financial support of Ukraine in our darkest hour is the best investment in European security. And it's true, because by helping Ukraine, by providing military assistance, by giving us economic support, material support, it enhances defense capabilities and protection of the whole Europe, because Russia is waging war not only against Ukraine, it's a war against Europe. And Russian propaganda is very outspoken about this goal.
All right, Alexander, thank you so much for joining me on the show. That's Alexander Mereshko, who's chair of Ukraine's Foreign Affairs Committee.
We all continue to face the menace of an aggressive, expansionist and revisionist Russia seeking to subjugate Ukraine and harass NATO. I find it harrowing that hundreds of thousands have died, with the toll mounting every day because of Putin's historical distortions and his compromised desire for respect. He is dragging out negotiations and shifting the cost of war onto his own population. But Putin should be in no doubt. Our support is enduring. Alongside the grinding war, Russia is testing us in the grey zone with tactics that are just below the threshold of war. It's important to understand their attempts to bully, fearmonger and manipulate, because it affects us all. I'm talking about cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, drones buzzing, airports and bases, aggressive activity in our seas above and below the waves, state-sponsored arson and sabotage, propaganda and influence operations that crack open and exploit fractures within societies. The export of chaos is a feature, not a bug, in this Russian approach to international engagement. And we should be ready for this to continue until Putin is forced to change his calculus. AI-powered robots and drones are brilliant for scaled manufacturing, but devastating on the battlefield. Discoveries that cure disease can also create new weapons. And as states race for tech supremacy, or as some algorithms become as powerful as states, those hyper-personalised tools could become a new vector for conflict and control.